Comic Timing is a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Welcome to episode 198 of Comic Timing, a comics podcast for the average comic book fan from the average comic book fan. Joining us, Brent Casino, rotating panel of guests, and myself, Ian Levesine, discuss whatever comes to mind, time after time, here on Comic Timing. Marvel tries to make more money. DC tries to win us back. Dark Phoenix is a pile of trash. We'll discuss that and more here on Comic Timing. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levesine, and welcome to episode 198 of Comic Timing. Brent Casino is remote today.
I am remote.
Where are you again? You're in Virginia, right?
I'm in DC.
Oh, DC. Okay. All right.
Virginia. Whatever. It's just like the same fucking thing.
It's close enough. It's close enough. You're on a work trip. That's what matters.
I'm working here.
Hey, I'm working here. Brandon, you working? Not yet?
Wow, that's hurtful. That's just fucking hurtful, asshole.
You'll get there, Chief. You'll get there. It's okay. You're working here on the podcast. That's what matters.
Well, yeah. I did have an interview with a major comic book company last week, so hopefully, fingers crossed.
Wow.
Working for free, he is.
That's what it feels like.
So what you're saying is that you're going to be working for Marvel Comics. That's good news. Hope it works out for you.
Yes. Next question.
And Donovan's on the call as well. Donovan, what up?
I'm doing well. I just came from work. I won't say anymore because I don't want to pick on anybody here, but happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good. We all pick on each other out of love, okay? That's what we do here on the show. And Rapsu, who is unavailable as he is on vacation, so he is enjoying DC, but not where Brent is.
Is Brandon, if he gets this job, going to be like all super secret and shit? Like, I work for this, but I can't talk about it. Like Raph was when he worked for Diamond. It's like, dude, you can fucking talk about it.
It depends on. Well, okay. So the position I'm going for is a trade show position. So I wouldn't be able to talk a lot. I can tell you what company it would be, and like all that other stuff. But other than that, you can't really like talk much about it like that.
That's fair. That's reasonable. It's on a need-to-know basis, and we don't need to know.
Darn right.
Well, what we do need to know is what we're going to be talking about on this episode. And there's actually some stuff that's happened, sort of. So we all saw Endgame, and we've all talked about it to death on various social medias and what have you.
And so has everyone else.
So
we decided to fucking spare you the same Avengers Endgame review that everyone else had.
Exactly.
I have some questions about the timeline.
Just hot takes. Just hot takes here, guys.
Okay. Here's a hot take. They're releasing it again just to beat Avatar. That's my hot take.
And God bless him for doing so.
That's not a hot take. That's the coldest take ever there. We all know this. We all saw that coming from a mile away.
All right, fine. Here's a hot take. Spider-Man survived. Okay? All right. There's my hot take.
That menace.
I mean, he kind of had to. He had a movie coming out.
Such bullshit that they were forced to actually start advertising that before the movie came out. I mean, I know that was Sony and not Marvel, but it kind of peeved me a little bit. Not that we didn't think he was going to come back anyway, but still, like, come on.
They have like this quota of 3 Marvel movies a year. They could like Captain Marvel was like 2 months before Endgame. They could have spread that out to like July or later. Not even July, like August or something.
Yeah, I mean they could have.
Sony got to get that money. They're hurting, man. Did you see MIB this weekend?
Ooh.
No one else did either.
Yeah, the problem is that according to the reviews for MIB, this was the most boring attempt at a Men in Black movie to date, which is impossible with the cast, and yet they somehow managed to do it.
What the fuck happened? Somebody got a preview of Ragnarok when it first got advertised. It was like, Tessa Thompson, Chris Hemsworth, get those people in my movie. Let's the script be damned, like they'll carry it on their backs alone.
And spoilers, they didn't. I mean, they would have had there been a script that was worth a damn, but everything I'm hearing about it is that it's boring as sin and doesn't even seem to make sense half the time. So I'll probably be waiting for digital on that one, or like what I did with Dark Phoenix, which we'll discuss later on in the episode. See it for $6 at an AMC on a Tuesday.
Again, have you seen MIB2? MIB3? Really?
Yes, I have. I enjoyed MIB3, man.
Yeah, that was decent.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Josh Brolin is the man. Come on.
I saw that on television recently again, and like the person who plays no spoilers here, but the army guy at the end is Luke Cage.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's Mike Coulter. Yeah.
Ah, nice.
Mike Coulter, yeah, it's just without any facial hair. I never knew that until obviously years later.
Yeah, go figure.
Can we mourn for a second while we're doing the Marvel stuff? Can we mourn the Marvel Netflix shows?
Yeah.
Because Daredevil Season 3 was the bomb.
Daredevil Season 3 was great, but what was fucking terrible is like, why does Netflix do this? We're going to announce we're going to cancel the show right before the next season drops. They're like, hey guys, with Daredevil Season 3, oh, by the way, it's canceled like the next week.
Hey, look.
And it's like, why does anyone want to watch this now? And then shoe drops. Iron Fist canceled. Okay, no one's crying. Luke Cage canceled. I cried a little. And then Punisher, they're like, Punisher Season 2 is coming out. Oh, by the way, it's canceled.
They announced even then, the day of.
The following week, they're like, oh, Jessica Jones? Oh, yeah, we had Season 3 in the can a while back. That's canceled too, and we're going to put that out in the middle of June when no one gives a fuck.
Well, look, Brent, on the bright side, at least that's better than airing one episode of Swamp Thing and then saying it's canceled.
Oh, that's just as to critical acclaim, no less.
I know.
Everybody was like, Swamp Thing is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I knew you'd never believe it. You've been watching these shitty reruns on Sci-Fi Channel for 25 fucking years of the last live-action Swamp Thing thing.
You watch your mouth there.
And then they're like, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Everybody go watch it. And then 3 days later, they're like, yeah, this thing's canceled. Fuck it. What the fuck? Like, I'm supposed to, as a DC fan, okay, this is what fucks me up. They're like, pay us $75 for the year for DC Universe. And I'm like, okay, I will when there's shit on there to watch. Mm-hmm. Titans didn't look that good. Apparently, it's good to on the series.
It's
Young Justice Season 3. Okay, I'm interested in watching that, but I need to rewatch Season 2. And you motherfuckers took it off Netflix before the service even launched. And now you're going to hold me hostage to watch Season 2 of Young Justice before I watch Season 3.
Yep.
Then they're like, here's Doom Patrol. And it's like, it's good, but it's quirky and weird as fuck, so I'm not sure I want to watch that. And then, they're like, oh, and we'll have all the comics you ever want to read up until the beginning of the Bronze Age, which really means the comics no one wants to read, but maybe our friends John Mayo and Bob Bretal and anybody who's interested in that, 83 and above shit.
They added more, though. So that's...
I know. But even still, the initial offering they had when this thing launched a year ago was piss poor.
That's true.
And then they're like, okay, so we're going to add DC movies. And you're like, okay, cool. Do they add everything at once? No. We're going to add a selection of these DC animated movies, of which we have fucking 30 of.
Yeah, isn't it great that they took Batman 89 off right at the 30th anniversary?
Then they advertise, we've got the first 4 great Batman movies, and you're like, okay, I think 1 was good. I don't know about great.
1.5
movies.
1.5.
Oh, and Superman 4: Quest for Peace is on here too, guys.
The classics.
Superboy the series. Woohoo! Shazam remastered.
Supergirl the movie also too.
Supergirl.
Supergirl's terrible.
Come give us your money. And then I thought they were going to be on there, and then they take the Batman shows, the Batman movies off the service.
Yeah.
And put them on the big
month of the anniversary, I think because there was a 4K Blu-ray release of those original 4 Batman films.
Yes.
But still, so the people who are going to buy the 4K Blu-rays were going to want to watch them in 4K regardless of the streaming service quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're really nuts about 4K, you're only going to get good 4K on the Blu-ray DVDs, not on streaming. Not that DC Universe was streaming in 4K to begin with.
89 Batman's still on there, by the way. It's just the other 3 are bye-bye. So that because I'm looking at their movie selection at the moment, and they have pretty much every animated movie that up until the most recent stuff. The only one they don't have is TMNT Batman because that was a crossover, so it's not on the DC Universe streaming.
Really
but like, is the Losers on there?
That's a good
question. Are any of these like peripheral Vertigo DC movies on there at all? They should be. Red 2. Yeah, thank you, Brandon.
Yeah,
but
no,
like,
it's not there.
Why are you adding stuff to a service only to take it away?
Right.
And not only that, but then launch a show that is airing weekly that's critically acclaimed and then announce that it's canceled?
Well,
or let the rumors continue? Like, what the fuck?
The swamp.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brandon.
All right, so that's a multifaceted problem there.
And the biggest thing, Warner Media's got a service coming out apparently this year as well. A year later after DC Universe launch, which I think is the biggest crock of shit ever.
It's going to cannibalize it. it's going to cannibalize it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to keep DC Universe running as a Marvel Unlimited style platform where you can drink as many comic books down as you want, and they might even keep some of the TV series up there. But I guarantee you, it's going to wind up merging into the Warner streaming service after a while. Like Warner getting purchased by AT&T was the death knell for DC Universe before, essentially right as it started.
Yeah, because there've been rumors about like them shutting the streaming service down and like the shows, blah 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 blah. Like they've been inconsistent, but like they have been like every now and then it's like, oh, they're shutting this down for whatever reason, and I've not necessarily believed it, but like I'm disbelieving it less as time goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to break it to them, but guess what, guys? Any smart person worth their worth is going to wait until July or August to get the $7 worth and watch the fuck out of everything like I'm going to do because I have a 2-week travel trip.
Right.
I'm going to bring my whatever and hook it up and get it for a month. And if there's a 30-day free trial, all the better. And I'm going to watch the shit out of this thing, and then I'm going to cancel it.
Yeah,
because you don't believe in this service. There's nothing good on here up until now. A year later, fuck off.
Yeah, that's what I did when they launched it last year. I did the trial. When they released Young Justice, when that dropped, did the trial for a month, watched Young Justice, all 3 seasons of what they had so far up until the hiatus, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need to see Titans. I don't need to see anything else coming out of the service here. But with the Swamp Thing, though, what gets me is the fact that a freaking clerical error ruined an entire TV series. And that just boggles my mind. And it shows that Warner Brothers or someone in their
someone is getting sued.
Yeah, apparently that's also bullshit.
Fired.
Well, okay.
No.
Oh, beyond fired, like that's a foregone conclusion. But like the cast, the crew, you cost hundreds of people their jobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over the fact that you didn't do your
2
math
+ 2 is 5.
Yes, that you didn't do your math right when you did your tax breaks for filming in that state.
Because they thought they had like twice the budget, right? Because they had half of that. They filmed the entire thing. Oops.
And they keep trying to say that that's not the case, but then everybody looks at it and it's like, okay, clearly that this is a budgetary thing, because why the hell else would you cancel it at such a venture? It doesn't make any sense.
And even South Carolina, like, we have the receipts. We have the proof that you guys messed this up. It's not on us. Right.
Yeah. The whole thing's a piece of trash. I'll continue to keep the DC Universe app for now, just because I'm too lazy to cancel it and I want to read the comic books. But they also need to work on that comic book reader, because it only works so good. And on my iPad, it's crashed multiple times as I was reading a comic. So I don't know if it's because I have an older iPad or if it's just because they're still working on the actual comic book reader itself. But it's still got some bugs that they got to work out.
Yeah, it's stuck on my iPhone. I have an iPhone 8 Plus, and that was not fun either too.
Well, what was even wackier though is they launched this service, and then the same year they launched this service, which is supposed to have everything or whatever, they also joined Comixology Unlimited.
Yeah.
For $5 a month, which is almost half the price of what you're charging for your streaming service just for comics?
Well, that is clearly one hand not talking to the other, and multiple digital initiatives happening at the same time. I mean, think about Marvel. I mean, Marvel has Marvel Unlimited, but they're also part of Comixology Unlimited. And, they have different offerings on there, sure, but at least Marvel Unlimited has been around long enough where they essentially have a pretty complete catalog up there. They have almost every single Marvel comic that you can possibly get on there. There are major holes in the DC Universe catalog, even with adding quote-unquote everything. I was talking about they don't have pretty much any Captain Marvel stuff on there at all, other than the most recent series.
No Azrael 1 through 100. Come on.
Oh, well, clearly then that's a giant hole that needs to be filled. I mean, come on.
Jeez,
Hey, they're fucking coming out with an Asbats helmet, okay?
Hey man, I'm glad, Brent, that you are waving that flag, okay? That's it. Although they do have they have Azrael Agent of the Bat on here. I am looking at it.
Well, is it 100 issues?
Let's see. Scrolling.
Isn't the same title renamed?
It's 100 issues, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, they have them all.
They have them all. They have them all. Yeah, that's part of the... again, they very recently added quote-unquote everything up until 12 months ago. So any comics that came out are supposed to be there, except for some major holes, and also the quote-unquote money winners. Comic series that people would really, really, really want to read. Plus, there's no Vertigo on there. I don't think stuff like Watchmen is on there either, since technically that falls under Vertigo, even though that's after the fact Vertigo. But they do have Tales of the Black Freighter, so hey, that's something. Ooh,
hey, you can read one fifth of a comic book.
Ooh, and they have the motion comic. The motion comic.
No.
I've already purchased all those. Those aren't bad.
Yeah, they're all right. They're all right.
Better, more accurate than the movie.
That's true. I'm looking forward to the damn series. I have trust in Lindelof. I think he's gonna throw something out there that's gonna be interesting and different than Doomsday Clock. So,
and hopefully he'll nail the landing this time.
Yeah, and he did with the Leftovers, so that's why I trust him. You gotta watch The Leftovers, damn it! It's a good fucking show.
Didn't finish it.
Finish it! Finish it!
Finish it!
Finish it!
Finish him.
So
Oh, speaking of finishing things.
Yes.
Can we go on a brief tangent about GOT real quick?
All we're doing is going on fucking tangents. So please, just
awesome.
This is what happens. This is what happens when we record once a month. There's a lot of shit to talk about. So yeah,
once a month. This is like once 2 months.
Once every month and a half. Well, whatever the fuck we do it, man.
We're almost
that's
a
the way we
podcast
roll.
at this point.
and you know what? We have been for a while, so that much hasn't changed. But anyway, yeah. Go ahead, shoot on GOT.
All right. Speaking of nailing the landing. All right.
Yeah.
Let's just admit this season of Game of Thrones wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. People that made it out to be.
Right.
Like I've seen worse television, and I've only been watching Game of Thrones for the last 3 seasons concurrent. Say okay.
Mm-hmm.
I binged 2 seasons ago, get caught up for the last season. So I'm like, all right, cool. The fact that Game of Thrones actually ended the way they did is a testament to television, because not every show ends.
Right.
And to say that you want them to redo an entire season of television because you didn't like how it ended, it's asinine and it's juvenile.
Release the Snyder cut of Game of Thrones.
Exactly. I get it. Outrage gets results sometimes. But when you outrage over every little thing, what are you really?
But that's the culture right now, man. That's the culture. There's way too many people out there who believe that if you bitch and moan and whine about something long enough, that you can actually make something happen. And it doesn't work that way. That's not life.
To all you Karens out there with your I want to talk to your manager haircut fanboy attitudes, all right?
Yeah.
Grow the fuck up, please.
Well, I think that like there's two sides to this. I don't watch Game of Thrones, but my brother does, so I've been kind of like having a front row seat to like the despondent sense of betrayal. that it's given to its fans. There are two things here. On the one hand, I don't believe in the if fanboys don't like something, they're always wrong because they're crazy fanboys who can't be sated. Because from all accounts, from all like objective, like okay, even if this makes sense, this was ridiculously short episode accounts.
Yeah,
the ending was genuinely bad. I've barely heard a word in the positive realm about it, and even if people did like it, it's generally agreed that like it was rushed, so the point where like the ending wasn't satisfactory because the ramifications weren't resonating enough.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. Yeah, I take a little umbrage with Brandon's tenor. On the other hand, the whole petition thing, between the petitioning to redo the season, to going back to like the petition to redo Last Jedi, all the way to like there was a petition to like bring back Iron Man from Endgame.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point we're getting to like you're treating like fiction and creative storytelling as like a legal thing.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. I believe in making your voice known and making people understand I don't like something. That works sometimes. Look at the Sonic movie that's coming out. You know, there was enough people saying we don't like this that like they changed it because they want to make money.
That shit shouldn't have happened to begin with. That shit shouldn't have happened to begin with, man. Like fuck fan outcry. Like the minute that they saw that Sonic design, they should have been like, "What are we doing?"
I agree with that, but
I thought that was a good idea.
I think it's within every person who likes something is right to say I don't like this. Mm-hmm. But I do agree that the petition thing brings it into a different realm because this isn't like this isn't trying to get a school opened or trying to have some sort of law passed. It's fictional content and you can choose not to watch it and not give you money.
Yeah.
So I disagree with the petitions, but I do agree with like saying if it sucks, it sucks.
I agree. It's within your purview to say that you do not or do like something. But we have to realize that this is technically considered art, and art should always stand alone. And art isn't always meant for everybody. Art is meant to be put out into the atmosphere and then be viewed as such. Yeah, we can just voice our displeasure with it, but we shouldn't be expected that the people who make the art should be beholden to what we want. And that's my main thing.
Right. And besides, man, in like 15 years, you'll have the conclusion of the books. So I think that, by then, you'll be able to find out how it was supposed to end, and then everybody can stop whining.
That guy's like 69 or 71. I am not holding my breath. He's going to churn out 2,000-page books before he leaves this earth. Somehow he finds time to do a Dark Souls game with From Software.
Yeah. And
then also write this Fire and Blood book that just got put out, which I got for Father's Day. Thanks, family. And this World of Ice and Fire co-written by someone else. Mm-hmm. And short stories in between the 10 years it's been since the last fucking book. The 5th book came out when the first season premiered 10 years ago.
Yep.
Look, as a creative person,
still cannot churn out whatever you gave. Here's Brandon. Here's where my fucking thing is. You gave the creators an outline of the ending of the last beats of the show. So obviously you have a plan, and whether you deviate from that plan or execute that plan is totally up to you as the writer. Mm-hmm. Do I think he's probably hamstrung now? That the ending he gave the show creators, that's what we're assuming that we saw, was not universally. I liked it personally.
I liked it too.
The last episode in particular.
Yeah.
But was it made fun of all across the internet? Was it loved universally? No. And yes to both those questions, right? Does that probably put something in the back of his brain that his ending is terrible? Maybe. But I don't really believe he's going to turn that out. But what I still don't understand is why it took him 10 years to write these last 2 books. I know he got involved with the series and other things, but like you were doing a good job turning out books and other things before then.
Brandon's probably going to say the exact same thing that I'm going to say, so I'll let him say it. So, Brandon, creative process, go ahead.
Creative process is a bitch and a half, okay?
Yes.
You have every intention to put something out there, but sometimes your method and the way you get to putting it out there doesn't always line up with how you want to get there.
Yeah.
I can write an outline for a story. I can put characters together. I can put scenarios together. But when I actually get to the keyboard and start typing, sometimes it won't come out.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't force that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because when you force it, you're going to write shit.
Right.
You're going to get shit. You're going to put shit out there. You put shit out there. G.R.R. Martin is, he pretty much is hamstrung, and he probably is detrimented by what happened to his baby, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes you less apt to go out there and put yourself out there.
Well, see, here's the major problem, is that Benioff and Weiss wanted to end it earlier than HBO wanted to. You know, if it was up to HBO, they would have continued for 3 more years. You know, they had potential, and they saw that there was plenty more left to say. But Benioff and Weiss wanted to move on, and rather than hand it off to other showrunners, they decided to listen to them when they said, "Look, man, we can end this. We can end this in a season. We know what we're doing. We got what we need to get. We can end this in a season. Let's do it." Like, okay, great. So awesome. They give them the season. Then they split the season in 2. So technically it was 2 seasons. So we waited even longer. Okay, great. Awesome. Whatever.
Someone's got to make Confederate.
Yeah. No.
No, they're doing the Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Somebody got an inkling of a Star Wars gig of a trilogy of films.
Yeah.
And a lifetime, generation-long residuals deal on that trilogy of films and rides and merchandise.
Yep.
And someone went, "Fuck yeah!"
Mm-hmm.
They can see an ounce of cocaine already.
Oh my God.
Yeah, pretty much that's what happened. They saw dollar signs and they said dollar signs is more important than the art, and then that's what happened.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Amanda Peet is still begging her husband for a bit part in whatever next thing he's doing.
But like, you know, the ending, the actual ending itself worked for me, and I know plenty of other people that it did work for as well. It's just what you were saying, Donovan, and what everybody's been saying. You know, it did feel rushed because they had to end it in 6 episodes. You know, they had all this set up, so they had to spend literally an episode on the fight with the big fight, and then they had literally an episode for Danny to go cuckoo bananas and burn everything, and an episode to wrap everything up. So clearly it was going to feel rushed because they only had so much the damn time to do it in.
See, I'm sorry. Those episodes, The Long Night and the Bells,
Yeah.
those hour-and-a-half long episodes in one location did not need to be an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Those were bloated as fuck.
Yeah.
So bloated.
That's because they had to fill so much story in that little bit of thing.
Yeah, but you still didn't have to make it an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I think The Long Night you had to make an hour and a half because that's a lot to get in there. I don't like how it ended.
Yeah.
I think they spread it out. I think you actually could spread The Long Night over 2 episodes. It probably wouldn't have felt as bloated. And then if they made this season, we'll say it was 6 episodes. If they made this 10 or 11 episodes this season, you would have got.
I also don't know how I feel about they only had so much time because that was preordained. So if it is going to feel rushed, they should understand that context and know what they can and can't do. They shouldn't say, "Well, we have no choice but to rush it. We have no choice but to squeeze it in," because that's not going to make Lynn to a satisfying viewing experience.
But that's just it. I guarantee you they did not think they were rushing. That they did actually have enough time to work with, and that they did have plenty of time to wrap things up. In their brains, they did. And
it's your standard deadline mentality.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have 6 days to get this done, right? And then I will crap around for 3 days, and then day 4, 5, and 6. Oh shit! I've got to put everything into this little bit of time.
Are these the same showrunners that have been doing the entire show?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would have changed between the sense of pacing previous seasons and this final season? I mean, because I would imagine that they would have had those previous seasons of pacing experience just to understand the difference of a 6-episode season.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Honestly,
Distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
The fact that the season was super truncated compared to the other seasons.
Yeah.
I think last season was 8 episodes.
This season, season 8 was 8 episodes long. Yeah.
No.
So,
This season was 6.
Oh, 6. You're right. Yeah.
The
last season was 8.
Season before was 7.
Yeah.
No, it was 7.
Yeah, it was 7, and then season 6 was 10.
So you can tell that they're the fact that even with what was the season when they were on the boat? when Jorah was on the boat all season long.
That was at 5, I think.
Either 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You could tell it was a long period of time because, hell, it was 10 episodes over in one location.
Yeah.
And now you can tell with this season, last season, they're going from King's Landing to the north like that.
Yeah.
In one episode.
Right.
You can tell that they don't care about their timing or their pacing of the show. Anyway, they want to get to point A to point B to point C to point D.
Right.
And move the story forward.
And point Q. Don't forget point Q.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Or far point.
No, far point something else. Picard coming soon.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the problem. They were rushing through telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
And if they would have slowed down for... If they could have probably got another 2 episodes out of HBO.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't have killed them. I mean, that wouldn't have put them that far back on plotting out for Star Wars either, too.
Right.
2 episodes would not have killed the season, and it would have made Danny's turn feel at least a little bit more satisfying.
Well, look, at least we have a prequel that's begun filming, okay? You know, because that's what we need is prequels.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We all know how well prequels turn out. Star Wars.
Yeah, right, Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Everything goes back to Star Wars in one way or the other, whether it's a prequel or whether it's whatever the hell the next movies are going to be. That's all we're thinking about at this point.
I just wanted Arya the Explorer, that's all.
Yeah, I know, and we're not getting that.
Nope.
Because she's busy doing other stuff, and I don't think that's something that they want to explore for some reason.
Like that movie that's not getting released.
Oh, you mean New Mutants? Yeah.
Yeah, that's not getting released ever.
It will, but I guarantee you it's going to be like straight to FX. You know,
FX, yeah.
like it'll be
Adam Gertler.
It'll be the first movie that's ever gone straight to FX.
Why haven't they just done that already? Why spend money on reshoots?
I don't know. It's now supposed to be April 3rd, 2020. Okay.
Because they're budgeting contracted. That's why.
Yeah. Pre-production started on this movie in April 2017. Yeah. Filming began on July 10th, 2017. This movie
they should have put this thing out in January. What the fuck?
They were going to.
Here's the thing. They shot this thing so fast, too.
Yeah.
They did it in, 30 days? 30, 60 days?
Yep.
Which is ridiculous for a movie like this because they knew that their time was up at Fox.
Yeah.
So why didn't you just release it last year in April like you're supposed to?
They really should have, and frankly, you know, they put a trailer out. Everybody forgot that they put a trailer out.
A good one, too. A good trailer.
Yeah.
2 trailers.
Yeah. There were 2?
Right,
Shit.
yes, 2.
Oh, my God. And then it just sat on the shelf. Because that's the way...
This is going to be...
Well, they didn't want to kill Dark Phoenix because that was going to do so well.
All right, fine. We'll get back to the MCU since we just mentioned it again. All right?
I didn't mention the MCU. I mentioned the XCU.
Yes, you did.
Now, let's talk about the XCU.
Yeah.
I want to touch on Donovan's point before we started recording.
Go ahead.
So Donovan said, when did this idea of the XCU being so bad ever come out? And I say to you, Donovan, have you rewatched the XCU recently? Because I rewatched all the X-Men movies like last year. I was listening to the Kind of Funny in review.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they did X-Men in review. So I week to week, baby. Boom, 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 boom. Kept up with their reviews, and oh my God. X3, not as bad as one may think.
Uh-huh.
X1 and X2, really slow nowadays.
Really?
Oh, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have digital copies of the first 3, so I may have to sit down and rewatch them and see what I think. I mean, X2 is still up there in my head as great, but I don't know. In your
head, but
yeah,
they are movies definitely of their time, and they do. I don't think they hold up at all.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
And in retrospect, X3 is in terms of like pacing and tone and shit going on, is the most Marvel movie of the whole bunch.
That's hilarious.
Want to know why?
Why?
Because it's done by Brett Ratner, Mr. ADD himself.
Oh boy.
The the man can't keep a camera steady for 5 seconds to save his life.
No, that's true. That's true. I
will say one thing though. That there is that one scene in X3, which is the fight scene in the Grey House. That is actually pretty well done.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's a lot of stuff going on at one time.
It gave us the greatest meme of all time.
Which one?
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
That was God.
Although
that was before that actually though.
I'm so glad we got a real Juggernaut in Deadpool 2, even if he was mostly for laughs. He felt a lot more like Juggernaut should, at least, than he did in the Last Stand. I'm gonna have my thoughts on it, and then I want to touch on the movie a little bit, and Donovan, we can go back and forth on that a little bit, but.
Yes,
I think my main issue with the X-Men films is that you can retitle them Wolverine and the X-Men for the most part, because rather than focusing on the entire team and rather than building up the entire team, they decided to build up Wolverine. And Wolverine's a cool character, don't get me wrong. And Hugh Jackman did an amazing job playing Wolverine for years, from 2000 until 2017, 17 years of playing in the character. He did a really good job of that. It's just every other character was sacrificed for that.
He did not play Wolverine once a year, every year.
He did not, but it was his character for 17 years. And
he's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records for playing a single comic character the longest.
Yes.
Him and Patrick Stewart.
Yep. Yeah. And it's also just basically the story of, Professor Xavier and Magneto and their guy love, which is again great, but you got to balance that with everything else. And Cyclops has nothing in these movies. Storm has nothing in these movies. Jean Grey is barely anything, including Last Stand, where she's the main villain.
You mean the MacGuffin?
Yeah, MacGuffin, exactly. And, they did introduce some good characters along the way, like their both takes on Nightcrawler I've enjoyed, and Beast as well. It's just, I don't know, it's just overall, there's a certain team dynamic that just never really worked for me with the original trilogy of movies, and has mostly been lacking in the other ones as well. But Donovan, I want to get your take on that.
Okay, I mostly agree with you. I'm kind of almost pretty much where you are in terms of I wish these X-Men movies were just more like the animated series.
Yeah.
Because yes, it is Wolverine is up front and center. Yes, it is the backbone of it is Xavier versus Magneto, which I don't think is actually a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we start with the beginning, I love the first X-Men film. I think that's actually my favorite X-Men film.
Oh wow!
Because and the reason, and that's not me saying that after having seen it 30 years ago. I watched it a few years ago, and I think that captures the dynamic of the X-Men idea the most.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really cool mystery in it. I think all the characters are actually on point. I think it's actually Cyclops' best turn. He's the team leader in that. You have scenes of him telling Xavier, "I'm going to take care of him if anything happens to you."
It's the only movie he's really in.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the second one to a lesser degree.
Yeah.
But in the first two X-Men films, I think there are some solid attempts to portray it, but they get kind of caught up in their own story. Because Jean Grey is Logan's love interest over Cyclops', and that's wrong.
Yes.
And that's a sacrifice of the story that I heard that Singer wanted for X-Men 3 to have the whole Dark Phoenix thing, kind of like how it was in the most recent film, where Scott actually has a lot more of the emotional weight in there.
Yeah.
But if we gotta go back to historically, overall people's reactions at the time throughout from 1 to now, X-Men 1 positive, X-Men 2 positive, X-Men 3 negative, Wolverine Origins negative, First Class positive, The Wolverine positive, Days of Future Past positive, Deadpool 1 positive, Logan positive, Deadpool 2 positive, Apocalypse negative, Dark Phoenix negative. 2/3 of the franchise are generally well regarded. Now, I think, and if we get into the MCU discussion, I can probably elaborate on this more.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us are really spoiled by the MCU.
Well, yeah, of course.
You go back and we watch films like game-changing films like this. I've seen people say this shit about Blade, the Raimi Spider-Man films,
yeah,
and say, "Oh man, all these movies sucked before the MCU came along with Iron Man." It's like, guys, we wouldn't have the MCU without these films.
I'm also a firm believer that Blade is better than Blade 2. So that's.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like these aren't dated or flawed.
Mm-hmm.
And like with you, Ian, there's a lot of room to go on. I wish these X-Men films were a lot more. I just wish they were a lot more X-Men oriented rather than like either Wolverine or swallow up in their own story.
Right.
I really do. But that doesn't mean that like we can turn around and say, oh, actually they sucked there all along. I find that I don't agree with that. And I think that like if people if you go back and watch it, you won't like it card as really disingenuous because I own the first two X-Men films and I love them.
Right.
I know that a lot of them are annoying. I think they've never really gotten Storm right, even in her power set.
Yeah. Because
it looks really cheesy all the time. I think that I don't like how the team is generally set to like 4 or 5 characters at a time, as opposed to like Team Blue or Gold where there's like nearly a dozen. And I don't like how like Days of Future Past just shoves Wolverine in the forefront.
Yeah.
I can understand on a publicity level why they do that, but it's still annoying. So I'm with you mostly, Ian, in that like there was a lot of potential squandered with the franchise, but I would not pull the trigger and say, and because of that, it has majorly been bad. Because I still think that like there's a lot to like, and a lot that like the MCU has kind of taken the ball and ran with it.
Well,
it gets to be a little frustrating when people turn the conversation to something else.
Sure. No, and I understand that. Like, I mean, it's not necessarily even that these movies are bad on their own. It's just that in building a universe, I feel like they've failed. And that's, something that, yet again, we're spoiled with the MCU, so of course, we're going to have different opinions on that. It's just...
You're even trying to do that. It's like one at a time.
Yes.
Well, after Days of Future Past ended, and they reset the universe of the old X-Men, and then the next movie went back to the young X-Men, and they didn't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
That's really when it was like, okay, this is cash for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, here I have a theory about the first X-Men movie. You guys tell me what you think. I've just thought of this as we were talking.
Yeah.
X-Men #1, the movie.
Yeah.
Was a stroke of luck on everybody's part.
Sure.
Because you look at the casting for that movie, and Bryan Singer basically cast whom he thought would be cool to have as that character. Storm. Okay. Who's the biggest black actress we can find right now? Who would be cool to have Storm? Halle Berry. Okay, done. Who would be cool? Yes, of course. But who would be cool to have Professor X? Who's bald? Patrick Stewart. Okay, cool, done.
Oh no, Patrick Stewart was literally born to play the character of Professor Xavier.
I'm not arguing any of this stuff. I'm just saying this is what the casting was like.
Yeah.
Who would be cool to have Magneto? He's the same age as Professor X. Okay, who do we have as X? Patrick Stewart. Okay, same age. See if Ian McKellen's interested. Okay, he is cool. Who would it be cool to have Cyclops? Who can we get on the cheap? James Marsden kind of looks like Cyclops. Let's cast him. Who would be cool to be Toad? What does Toad do? Jumps around. Who's a martial artist that's hot right now? The guy from Phantom Menace, okay? Who would be cool to be Sabretooth? We need Sabretooth in this movie.
God,
how about this guy? Tyler Mane. It's in his name. Okay, that's cool.
Sabretooth was the biggest misstep in the entire X-Men franchise, even when they had Liv Schreiber play him in Origins.
Okay, even still. Okay, so here's the crux of my theory.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about Toad. We talked about Storm. We talked about Sabretooth. Who would it be cool if, right?
Yeah.
The stupid lame castings that didn't work.
Yeah.
Who would be cool to have as Wolverine?
Doug Ray Scott.
Doug Ray Scott.
Doug Ray Scott, yes.
Doug Ray Scott, the villain from MI2, which hasn't done a single fucking thing since.
Nope.
Maybe a little, maybe here or there, but nothing of note. Let me just put it that way. Was originally cast as Wolverine. It's only because MI2 he got hurt or something happened with the shooting that he was not able to be Wolverine.
Yeah.
So they lucked out because they were shooting in Australia on Hugh Jackman.
Yep.
And what did they stumble across? A fucking gold mine.
Yeah.
So once that happened in X-Men 1, and you're like, oh my God, Hugh Jackman is a really good actor. We can ride this guy all the way home.
Yep.
boom, everything shifted after that.
Yeah.
But if you had Doug Gray Scott, your X-Men #1 movie would be as good or bad as Superman 3 or 4.
I completely disagree.
All right, so can I give counterpoint to Donna real quick?
Go ahead.
Piggyback off what one phrase of Brent. Yeah, look, X-Men 1 was lightning striking, okay? And the reason why we give Marvel such a pass is because they managed to make lightning strike the same spot again and again.
You want to know what happens when lightning strikes a toad?
It's the same thing that happens to everything else.
Thank you. Please continue.
Yes, thank you, Joss Whedon, for that line. That's a great line, Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon. So the problem is, like Ian said, you can take out X-Men from these titles and just call it the Mutants, and guess what? It's still the same story.
Yeah.
Because they're not really X-Men stories. They're stories about characters who have the same names as the X-Men, who have the same powers as the X-Men, but they're really not the X-Men. They're mutant stories. Mm-hmm. And the problem is also that their stories kind of ebb and flow because there's no real consistency. You can tell right from the get that they don't care about the timeline. Because when does X-Men 1 take place? Anybody?
X-Men 1 takes place in 2000.
No, it takes place in the near future.
Oh.
Okay. So
yeah.
when does X2 take place? It takes place in 2002 or 2003.
Okay.
So then again, they don't really care about their own timeline.
No.
And also too, like, there's no grand design. I think the most X-Men movie you have actually is First Class.
Mm-hmm.
Because that deals with the characters at their core.
Yes.
That deals with something that is pertinent to those characters. You actually have that drama actually also too.
I'd agree with you.
Which is the Claremontian soap opera that we all want to have one day, you know, where you have these large life characters having these verbose speeches about, you know, ideals and powers and responsibilities, and you know, you have Xavier kind of being a dick also too, you know, but a little more mischievous. And you have Raven as like his stalwart best friend who he grew up with, and then you have this tortured and tormented Magneto, which I think is probably the best Magneto we've seen ever in First Class.
Yeah.
And then you go to Days of Future Past, and then you kind of get it mixed together with the Singerverse, and then you kind of muddle down those other characters again, and then you go to Apocalypse, and then it's like you don't really care as much because you lose that drama of it, and that's what makes these movies kind of subpar, because there is so much potential to be so good for these movies.
I think my main problem with the franchise from start, and it did correct itself over time, is that when it started in 2000, Hollywood was still afraid of superheroes. Mm-hmm. And that's why we got the leather jumpsuits. That's why we got, you know, like a downplay of abilities. That's why we tried to get it to be like a sort of spy at times, or, you know, like it didn't quite feel like they were embracing their source material.
It's very Matrix, the first film.
Definitely. 100%, yes. I would 100% agree with that. And when you have such a rich source material as the X-Men, when you have years and years and years of comic books that you could go off of, and even Spider-Man was closer to the source material than what X-Men gave us, I just feel like it was such a waste in the end. For them to wait until Days of Future Past to, you know, to actually have a true, you know, X-Men story. I mean, yes, it was changed a little bit for the screen, but, you know, of course, that's the case with literally everything. It gets changed for the screen. You could say X2 was an adaptation. Sure, it was, but less so. You know, it's got a lot of man kills in premise, but not in execution. X-Men Apocalypse, that could have easily been a trilogy, and so could a Dark Phoenix. Mm-hmm. If you're you know, building up the characters, both of these villains are villains that you need build up for. You cannot do them in one movie, and that's why somebody suggested this on Facebook after I posted that article and we had our back and forth, Donovan, that the X-Men are made for TV, not for movies. And frankly, I believe that even more after seeing Dark Phoenix, because that would have actually given us damn time to invest in the character and grow and have the story actually matter.
Counterpoint to Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
You have been building to Dark Phoenix with Jean Grey. I mean, if you've just been watching Game of Thrones for the past 5 seasons, you know Dark Sansa is coming.
God damn it. Well, also, one of my main problems with Dark Phoenix is the complete disregard of Jean's Phoenix flare in X-Men Apocalypse.
I heard about that.
Just a one-off. It never happened.
Yeah, just completely under the rug. La. This never happened. Doody-doody-doo. Move on. Also, complete disregard of the costumes that you introduce at the end of X-Men Apocalypse.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
Why would you give us those pretty damn good comic accurate costumes and then take it away?
Yeah.
Hey, Frank Quitely costumes were comic accurate.
Frank Quitely costumes were comic accurate. Didn't work at all on the screen. Did not work at all on
What's
the
so
screen.
bad about X-Men 2?
What's so bad about X2? X2... There's not a lot bad about X2, except for the fact that it yet again falls into the category of being a Wolverine movie.
Well, I mean, even that is like, the story is an X-Men story. It's a guy taking it's not Magneto. It's a guy taking active war against the mutants.
Sure.
He's having Mastermind manipulate Xavier,
Mm-hmm.
and the X-Men are splintered. Wolverine does take precedent. I will agree.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of Storm, a lot of Jean, a lot of you're introducing new characters with expanding on Iceman.
Yeah.
You have Deathstrike, who's is not the character from the comics, but they are introducing other characters showing abilities and that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
Again, like I don't know, it's the refrain of like, oh, they waited until 10 years to do an X-Men story. That just sounds catchy to me. That it has me at a pause.
I think, Donovan, what when you rewatch these in a row, I hope you do more sooner rather than later, is that you'll find like X2 specifically it hinges on Wolverine. Like everybody's motivations for anything they do hinge on the actions of Wolverine. If you take Wolverine out of that story, Brian Cox's character is not as mad. He doesn't maybe necessarily want to get Wolverine back so bad, or was never the head of Weapon X, and maybe he grew up liking his son. You know what I mean? Like, and everything all the kids do is because of Wolverine, because he's driving them around. So you take Wolverine out of that story, and the story never happens.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that, because Brian Cox was mad at Xavier because he took his son to Xavier's school and Xavier couldn't help him. The mutants were going to go try to save with the kidnapped mutants that Brian Cox did. And Magneto was going after Mastermind anyway. Yeah, Wolverine helped drive some of the action, but I wouldn't agree that like the story revolves around him. He has a connection to Stryker, but like, and that's a major connection, but that's not a primary, fundamental, central whirlpool of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I agree, because Stryker's main onus is actually with Xavier.
True. Yeah, and I mean, I'd say X2 gets close. It honestly gets close to being what I wanted out of an X-Men movie. It's just still.
I mean, is Wolverine too much focused in the X franchise? Absolutely. 100%.
Oh my God, yes.
But I don't think in like for instance the first Singer films, it's as bad. X-Men 3 is a Wolverine jerk-off fest.
Yeah.
Like Jean dies for his man pain.
Yeah.
Not for her own character.
And X-Men Origins Wolverine is a goddamn travesty that should have never even.
That is the worst X-Men film.
Oh, easily, leaps and bounds. And Dark Phoenix, like getting back to present day here, like there's some decent ideas in there. Like it's not terrible. It's just so boring at times, and like I don't know. It slogs. It's
like Claremont from the 90s, not Claremont from the 70s and 80s.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Holy shit, man! You just hit the money, Brandon. You hit the fucking money.
It's like reading Claremont's Extreme X-Men.
Yeah.
So I didn't see Apocalypse, but for whatever reason, the trailers for Dark Phoenix were really intriguing me.
Yeah.
So I went in there after it was just deluged with horrible reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down, watched it from beginning to end, and was aware of all the flaws. Jessica Chastain and her entire plot do not beat the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mystique's death, spoilers, is ultimately not as big of a deal as it should be.
Yeah.
There should be just a lot more time with Storm and Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
And I think that that the film's version of Dark Phoenix, they can't decide whether it's her innate power or a psychological kind of thing.
Such bullshit.
She's ultimately not as evil as she was in the comics.
Yeah.
There were genuine pivotal flaws with the movie. I had a hell of a time watching it because we saw things we've not seen in an X-Men movie. We saw Xavier in the field telling the X-Men what to do. We saw a lot of kind of cross-interference combat with the X-Men. Yeah. We saw a lot of train action sequences, especially near the end of the train sequence. We saw some intense drama, I thought, with her and her father. We saw the X-Men doing missions like the X-Men do. We saw them as an established entity in a context. And I was really missing a lot of that throughout the entirety of that's why I really like Deadpool 2 so much, because the X-Men were established.
Right.
And they did that joke of they're in the other room, but when there's a mutant thing, Colossus and his other X-Men go into the field. I wanted that. Yeah. And it kind of goes with what you were saying, is that I like the idea of the X-Men as established, kind of as the Avengers, not so much in the superhero sense, but we're not playing hide and go seek with the franchise itself. And only showing up when Wolverine's there. So, say what you will about Dark Phoenix, I really liked it because to me it felt like an X-Men movie in a way which the films have not done in a long time. So
here's one of my main problems with the movie is that because of the time jumps, we went from 1983 as a setting for X-Men Apocalypse, and now we're in 1992 for Dark Phoenix.
Just in time for the Jim Lee run.
Yeah, just in time for the Jim Lee run, even though they're using the Quietly jackets, so missed opportunity. We needed more pockets, clearly, and belts and communicators everywhere. Everywhere's a communicator. Just tap any part of your body and it's a communicator. But you're telling me in between 1983 and 1992, suddenly the X-Men are the shit? Suddenly they are, mutants are accepted and everything's hunky-dory and everything's fine and dandy like sour candy. Professor Xavier is, has a frickin' bat phone to the president and all this shit.
Running for office also too.
Running for office,
I like that.
You're telling me all this shit managed to happen in 9 years. It is such a weak premise, and I get that the X-Men running the battle shit is cool because yes, it's cool because it's solid X-Men action. Do we see Nightcrawler put on a frickin' helmet in the middle of space, like he does in the comics without any sort of suit? Yes, because he's Nightcrawler and shit happens. Do we get to see the X-Men plane coming out from underneath their basketball court? Yes, we do. Great, awesome, terrific.
Seen that before.
Exactly, but it was cool here, like it always is. So whatever. It just felt so flat, and that's my problem. It's supposed to be an epic story. It's supposed to be an epic saga, and instead. Mm-hmm. There was just no weight to it whatsoever. You're going to give me action. Okay, cool. That's great. But it's almost fluff for the rest of the story.
I can absolutely understand that. Yeah. I don't think you're being unreasonable in what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that was my main issue with it. It's there's stuff there to enjoy, and then there's literally everything else. And there's a version of this sitting on a shelf somewhere where they're not Mbari, they're Skrulls.
Yeah.
Because they literally had to reshoot the entire ending of this film because it apparently was too close to Captain Marvel.
I like this better than Captain Marvel, but I'm not going to dwell on that.
No, I get that. You're entitled to it. So that's.
I mean, I do think it's interesting that when this, but would you not agree that when this film was there was reshoots and stuff, and it was being said to come out. Mm-hmm. During that time, it was agreed, this franchise actually sucks. And I still find that to be curious. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it. We've talked about the reasons why it's flawed and why you can think that. But it's interesting to me that Days of Future Past, the X-Men franchise was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the Deadpool movie, then like Logan.
Yeah.
And people thought Apocalypse was lame, but then you had, Deadpool 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting to me that like when the narrative of Dark Phoenix was concerned, it was just another in a long line of failed franchise. Again, with the majority of the films being agreed upon as good, I still don't know how that happened. And maybe it's just because you had like the cuter lamb of the MCU in front of everything, and people were just
Hard fucking disagree right there. First off, okay, what happens is Apocalypse shat the bed. Okay, that movie was not great by any means.
Yeah,
and then you have Dark Phoenix come out, and my biggest question was why? Why are we rushing to get to Phoenix again? Because we already had it with X3.
Yeah,
and I think that's where it began to taint that little noggin in the back of your brain of like, is this franchise really going to stick the landing again?
right.
Because everything we have learned about Dark Phoenix from X3 was written by the same director. Okay, yeah. Simon Kinberg wrote X3.
Yeah.
At that time, we were supposed to have what's the face attached to it also as well to direct it again.
Oh, so Singer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite director.
Now known as He Who Shall Not Be Named, because yeah. Bohemian Rhapsody's the last time you're seeing him for a while.
At that time, it was supposed to be those two back at it again to do this movie again.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly correct the mistakes that they made the first time. And already there, I'm like, that's not going to end up well.
Nope.
And then, look, reshoots happen. Reshoots happen on every film. And to say that, reshoots tainted this movie, that's not true.
No.
Well, when you see that there is no passion for this franchise anymore, that the gas is pretty much all gone from the tank here, and they're just counting down the days till they get bought up by Fox, until they get bought up by Marvel or by Disney.
Yeah,
the writing was on the wall, and that unfairly, to some degree, tainted this film.
Yeah,
but we got to call a spade sometimes, and we got to say a bad movie is a bad movie, and this is not a good movie. This is not even close to being a good movie at all.
No, and how little faith in it do you? And I get it. You wanna focus on the villain or what have you. To not even have X-Men in the name. To just call it Dark Phoenix.
I don't mind that. To be honest,
it's a weird choice.
It's confusing. It's confusing to your branding.
It is. Yeah, that's.
Well, they kind of like made the X and Dark Phoenix bold, so it's like it's an X-Men film.
if you're a fan, yeah, but this goes back to the John Carter problem. This goes back to
wait. Hold on, Brandon. Fan four stick.
Even what was it? All you need is kill or live, die, repeat.
Yeah.
You need consistent naming conventions in your films.
You do.
And if you change up. Your fans are going to say, okay, this is what we know.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe Blow, average moviegoer, who is jumping on for the first time with your film, remember, as Stan Lee once said, every comic book is someone's first comic book.
It's true.
You need to be inclusive to those people.
Yeah. And in that note alone, because of the time jump and because of the team being all, yay, team, this could have worked for that. Somebody who didn't see Apocalypse, Donovan didn't see Apocalypse. He didn't really have to, because frankly, here's the team. That's it.
Yeah, I wasn't lost at all.
No, you weren't. I mean, they were introduced in Apocalypse, and that was it. Who cares? Like, nothing about that movie mattered in the end. And that is another one of my major gripes about the franchise as a whole, is that so little of it matters. From movie to movie. They mention, First Class in this, and they do have a couple of, touching moments between Beast and Mystique about how they're the only survivors of the First Class, and like, yeah, you are, because literally everybody else is dead.
Moved on.
Yeah. Mostly because they were killed off screen, which was kind of shitty of Days of Future Past, and still one of my...
Or they were killed as a joke.
Yeah, or they killed as a joke, yeah. But there's not enough weight to it. I'm just gonna end it there. We could literally talk about this like all night long, And I appreciate that these films exist, and I appreciate that the franchise has lasted 19 years. It's kind of amazing. I look forward to the eventual reboot in 5 years. And I want to see what happens, because they can't reboot it right away. They cannot do that. This cannot be a Spider-Man scenario where a year or two later we get a reboot.
Yeah, this has to be put on the shelf for a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe release your unreleased movie of New Mutants, which is kind of not X-Men-ish, but kind of X-Men-ish. But it could be like that little bridge that works between the two of them. Yeah, or it's just different enough that it could work.
Turns out New Mutants is going to be a Blockbuster Video exclusive.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Available at your nearest Bubba. Oh wait, Captain Marvel fell through it. Oops.
Hey guys, go to Alaska. There's that one there.
So let's talk about another franchise for a minute, okay? I
would just object real quick that I would agree with you that hold off on the X-Men for just a few years, because I think the narrative of Marvel's going to save this franchise and Kevin Feige is going to save fandom. Yeah. I mean, we'll get into the MCU, but it's not as though that the entire franchise, it's not so much has to do stuff from the ground up.
Right. No, that's fair.
I mean, X-Men are pretty much at the same level. Well, no, I shouldn't say that, but they're pretty close to the same level as a Wonder Woman or even an Aquaman, where people kind of know who they are. Mm-hmm. You don't really have to tell the origin story all over again.
Oh yeah, I think that of the two, Fantastic Four is going to premiere first, and then we're going to get something out of X-Men in a couple of years. We'll see what happens. Yeah, more than likely. All right. Let's go back to the initial conversation that we started having before the 800 meanderings that typically happen on this show.
DC streaming service.
No, damn it, MCU. All right, we're at a point now where Endgame has happened. We've reached the Endgame. Technically, Phase 3 ends with Far From Home, but in a way that's sort of an epilogue to Phase 3 to most people, I would say, because Endgame was the conclusion in so many ways. This is just what the world is going to happen afterwards in Far From Home, if they even bother to touch on it.
Post-credits movie sequence,
essentially. Yeah. But let's take a look at what has become one of the largest franchises. Clearly the largest, because there's 22 films or something like that at this point.
22.
Jesus, 22 films. 22 films in about 10 years, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But or is it 12? Something like that. It's 12 or
11 years now.
11 years. Okay. Our thoughts on where the MCU has landed, and just how hopeful we are for where it's going in the future, because I honestly, I don't really know where it's going to go from here. We know what movies are happening. Eternals is supposed to be happening with possibly Keanu in it. Captain Marvel 2 probably in Phase 4, and Black Panther 2, and maybe Doctor Strange 2. Yeah, Doctor Strange 2 they've been talking about.
As Guardians of the Galaxy.
As Guardians of the Galaxy. We got...
Volume 3.
Oh, God. Ant-Man 3, which I guess would be Ant-Man, Wasp...
And Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man?
Sure. Or...
Just go back in time to prevent...
Ant-Man...
No, that's that Nando V movie reference there.
Ant-Man, Wasp, and Toto 2. Will be the name of the third one. But let's get everybody's general thoughts on where we've come, and how Endgame led us to where we are and what have you. How are we feeling right now? What are we thinking about the future? Brent, how you feeling?
I feel fine. I don't know where the fuck this is going.
For real?
I'm not that interested in Eternals.
Yeah.
Not that interested in Inhumans. I don't know.
How about Shang-Chi?
No. I watched Iron Fist, and he wasn't that interesting. How could Shang-Chi be any more interesting? He doesn't have powers.
They changed that. They gave Captain America powers practically.
That's true. Yeah, no, I could see Shang-Chi working really well if they actually embrace the kung fu-ness and, don't give somebody a week of lead time to learn how to do it. That's definitely going to be a benefit to the movie when it comes out.
Wait, so you're saying you can't learn a martial arts in 7 days?
As a matter of fact, you cannot, sir.
Thanks, TV budget thing.
Portal.
Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, Is this your drop-off point, Brent? Are you not going to be at the theaters every time a new one comes out at this point?
If they're as bad as Captain Marvel, yeah.
Good times, everybody. Go ahead and listen to the episode on that one. That was a joy.
Oh, that old chestnut.
No. You're equating my my firm dislike of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
With all the incels on the internet.
I'm only
who
teasing.
Didn't like Captain Marvel because she was a female.
I'm
and it was a
only
female-oriented
teasing.
movie.
God damn it, Chief.
Why didn't Brie Larson smile enough?
Yeah. My dislike of Captain Marvel comes from the fact that it's a middling film that does the same thing every other Marvel movie's ever done, and didn't do anything new, and the fact that they chose their main character to be wooden and personality-less until the end of the movie when she magically powers up for the first time for real.
She wasn't
and
wooden,
then
she's
supposed
flesh.
to become likable.
She's flesh. I object to that.
So please don't equate my dislike of a mediocre film with the other people's dislike of a woman-led film.
Nobody's doing that. Absolutely nobody is doing that. And I think
not this time.
I think we made it clear on that episode, and if we didn't, we just did right now. So there we go. You just didn't like it. That's all that matters. Brandon, what's
I gotta listen to you guys shit on Man of Steel and Batman v Superman all the goddamn
Oh
time.
no, please.
Although I agree with Batman v Superman, but you gotta shit on Man of Steel all the time. I'm allowed to shit on Captain Marvel and say it was crap.
Fair is fair. Horrible.
That's what makes this country of ours great.
Exactly. Fair is fair. 9/11 allegory. Jesus, did it suck? Okay, let's move on to Brandon and.
God. Oh Christ. Actually, oddly enough, I'm actually kind of in not the same boat as Brent, but I'm not that far off from it though.
Mm-hmm.
We can be in the same boat. My boat is big enough for both of us.
But it's gonna be weird though, isn't it?
We don't have to have a black boat and a white boat, Brandon. You can ride in my boat.
We'll make it a tan boat.
An Oreo boat.
It's gonna be weird though because we don't know where this is going, don't we?
No, we don't.
Even into the uncharted territory that was phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We kind of had an idea of that they're going to build something bigger, but you went big, and now you guys have gone home. What can you do afterwards now? What threat other than Galactus can you do to hype up your universe?
Oh, they're going to do Galactus.
I know that. I know they are, but I mean, other than that, out the gate though, what can you do to really keep your investment in this universe? Because unless you go really small and really specific with your stories, you tell real human tales or real human stories, even with the Celestials. You have to tell real personal stories to really keep your audience engaged.
Right.
That's gonna be something to see coming out of Spectacle City that was Marvel for the last 10 years.
It's going to be real interesting because they have all these television shows now, which might be telling these smaller stories you're talking about, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a real interesting thing to see if Marvel can have all these television series, which they're going to make essential to watching the movies once those characters pop back up in the next Avengers film or whatever.
Right.
And if they can keep their movie series as interesting and as successful as it's been. Now, I don't think the next movie out of the gate, probably going to be Black Widow, is going to be as successful as Avengers or even Captain Marvel or Black Panther. I don't think a Black Widow movie is going to do all that well. I just think it's been long enough. Sure, her character's not really a fan favorite, I guess you would say. It is for some, but it's not really. Nobody's chomping at the bit. It's more of why hasn't
she has
this
a lot of
happened
female
yet?
fans, I think.
I know, but it's not a
It's a mistimed story.
There's not an unsettling, unsilenceable demand. It's just why didn't Marvel do this sooner? Why hasn't this happened yet? They've had her for 10 years, blah, blah, blah.
And her character is literally dead
to the
water.
punch.
Yeah, seriously. Oh,
it is, and you have this Anna movie coming out. This Russian spy Anna movie coming out from the guy who did Fifth Element. Forget his name.
The second
Luke Besson.
The second not Black Widow movie to come out before Black Widow. Like,
right. So there's a ton of these movies already coming out.
Yeah.
So what's going to be different about this one other than that it takes place in the Marvel Universe and actually has Scarlett Johansson? They're gonna have
to do something, and I mean they're probably introducing a new Black Widow into this as well, because like I guarantee you it's going to be split between the past and the present in one way or another.
The 2000s, I'm like, hey everybody, remember Ja Rule, and like make jokes like that.
Yeah, I heard rumors of Yelena Belova, which would be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, me too. I think that would actually be pretty cool. It's just I'm actually this boat is made for three, guys. I have no idea where we're going, and I am a little bit worried. I think that there's definitely potential, especially now that we have Fantastic Four back in our purvey. That's gonna give a big tentpole for the Marvel Cinematic Universe once they introduce them, whether it be in Phase 4 or immediately afterwards. I think that's a good sign. I think maybe they might just have to go small in general with these movies. Like if we, as Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't really have to be anything more than as Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't really have to be, cosmic in scope. It could just be a space epic. It doesn't have to be more than that if they don't want it to be. Or, maybe they will wind up teasing a new villain along the way, but whatever. I think that they can easily have that be grounded and be okay. Like I'm not as worried about who the next Thanos is going to be as I am what is going to make these movies important to me. And it's going to be the characters more than it's going to be the overarching, scope, if that makes sense.
I want them to go Living Tribunal in Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, please do.
Or Guardians 3. If you can't fucking pull off the Kree Supreme Intelligence as a green blob, you fucking stupid movie. God damn it. Give me the Living Tribunal.
Jeez, tell me how you really feel, please.
Oh, come on. That was so easy. They could have done it.
Comic timing.
It's too chicken.
Comic timing, now with Angry Brent.
Always with Angry Brent.
Always with Angry Brent. Good point. Guaranteed. Good point. That's what makes it what it is, and that's what matters. Donovan, are you looking forward, or are you as trepidatious as the other people in this boat?
Yeah, am I in the boat? Did you guys see the honest trailers they did this week with the entire MCU?
I haven't seen it yet.
I loved it.
Yeah.
When it laid out the formula for all to see.
Yeah, that formula, I think, is something now at this point that should be discussed. Because I said the last episode that I was on that because it was right before Endgame, we have witnessed something truly incredible, and I think that we should always make sure to understand that, and also kind of understand how it's kind of changed the game in terms of superhero comic book adaptations. Because it is a post MCU world, and I get the feeling that we look back on pre MCU movies with just kind of a snobbiness, and if we leave X-Men films out of it, even still,
I don't look back on Batman Begins or Dark Knight with that same attitude.
Even beyond that, Superman 78 is still a great movie.
Yeah,
you don't need Kevin Feige to make that movie.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a lot of change in the MCU. I think the humor developed from movies that knew how to be funny, and it's in a way that I think the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies knew how to be funny. Once Guardians of the Galaxy happened, I think that the MCU movies have had a tone problem, because the Guardian movies are the Guardian movies. They have their own kind of vibe, and I think to one degree or another, the movies have been kind of chasing that sort of fun vibe. Thor Ragnarok was almost ruined by that vibe, because there was a lot of horrible, dark things, ugly, violent things that happened in Thor Ragnarok, and you didn't care because everyone was too busy doing pantomime and pratfalls. Even in Endgame, there were moments where that kind of just took you out of the movie, where it's there's a lot of great drama and pathos in the first act, and okay, we're getting to this time heist. So there's going to be a lot more humor. So I'm not saying I'm against humor. I love the whole America's ass joke. But there's other stuff that War Machine's saying, "Whoa, that's the place where all the traps happen. Did you see this movie?" And it's like, okay, guys, this is these are adults talking, and I think that's endemic of a formula that Disney has said this is a very safe, reliable formula. We don't dare budge from it. Mm-hmm. That have kind of given the MCU movies a touch of not even so much predictability, but kind of like a general taste. And for a while, I heard people say that. Like Chris Johnson was kind of big in that jump for a while, and I wasn't really on board with it. 22 films in, I'm seeing what people are meaning. And, to keep ourselves intelligent, that doesn't mean we need a Zack Snyder, Dark Fest.
No.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
I think Enter the Spider-Verse was an excellent demonstration of how you do tone.
Yes.
Because when people die, they're dead, and that resonates for several minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't feel the need to the slapstick, just to keep people's interest involved. And I think that Wonder Woman was also well toned, and Shazam as well. So it kind of sucks that the MCU might move forward with the Fantastic Four having never met Captain America or Iron Man. I wish that wasn't the case, but yeah. I also kind of get it. And
they're not going to do that for 5 years, though.
You think eventually they're going to come back?
Kevin Feige said it'll be at least 4 to 5 years before X-Men and Fantastic Four join the MCU.
I don't believe him on Fantastic Four. I believe him on X-Men.
I kind of see that. I mean, it was only 4 years between the Ang Lee Hulk and Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. It
was only 2 years between Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Civil War. Yep. But I think that as a comic book fan in terms of Marvel, I like the Marvel characters. I'm really only about Spider-Man and Daredevil. So with Cap and Iron Man gone, I don't really give a fuck about a lot of the other characters generally. I will probably see them, but honestly, Black Panther and Shang-Chi and Doctor Strange have the most of my attention.
Yeah.
And I kind of want Doctor Strange to be a lot more gothic and supernatural and less Iron Man and on shrooms. Black Panther 2 is going to be probably pretty good because it's the same creative team. And I'm
hopefully they have a real ending and not CG.
I never care about that. But I'm not pessimistic. But at the same time, I think with Endgame, my interest has been spent. We've seen an incredible thing with this mega story kind of told and done with, and managed to get all those same actors mostly, and managed to kind of get a consistent narrative mostly.
He asked for too much money. Okay, listen. That's why we got Don Cheadle.
Edward Norton and Terrence Howard were fantastic in Endgame. Okay, I don't know what movie you saw.
Yeah, right.
You saw one of the 14 million futures that Doctor Strange saw.
Avengers Forever happened, guys. Come on.
So, what type of Mandela effect is this right here, guys?
But yeah, I don't know. Who knows what's going to come out? But I think that my sort of automatic comic book devotion to the MCU, I feel has had its turn. And now it's not so much money. It's I feel that my obligation has ended.
Yeah.
And
your watch has ended.
Say it?
Your watch has ended. Yeah.
He didn't watch the show. He doesn't get it.
We all the other ones on this call do, and that's what matters.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I am scooching for room in that boat.
Well, I'm hoping that undersea earthquake leads to Namor, because that would be a good way to introduce the Fantastic Four. That would be cool. I'd be down with that.
Namor's rights are unfortunately owned by Universal Studios, just like the Incredible Hulk, and I doubt they're going to get rid of him.
I want to see She-Hulk.
Yes.
She was such an obvious character, and it sucks that I don't have the rights because she is such an obvious MCU character to adapt.
They're supposedly doing a Disney Plus series with She-Hulk and the Hulk in it, and that would be outside of those rights because the rights only actually apply to movies. So they'd be able to do that, and they would be able to use Namor just like they used Incredible Hulk. They just cannot do a Namor movie.
Correct. He has to be in a team movie or a team up.
Yes, exactly. So if it's Yeah, like Invaders or something like that. They might be able to do. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But
what about the other, like the new generation, like the Kamala Khans, the Miles Moraleses? What do you think of those?
I think the Mindy Kaling rumor in Kamala Khan is way off base, unless she's going to write it. Only.
She's writing it.
She's writing it. She's not going to play her. No, that would be a bad idea.
Yeah. 20 years older than this character needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Kamala has to be a teenager, and if we do get Young Avengers, it would make sense to have her be introduced in Captain Marvel 2 and then wind up in a Young Avengers movie with the rest of them. Sort of combining the champions with the Young Avengers.
Kind of how it's made every Marvel character an Avenger anyway. Yeah, do the champions plus the Young Avengers and just have them be the Young Avengers because marketing and branding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. And
but also with the Hawkeye girl, Kate Bishop.
Yes, which we'll be getting soon enough too. So I think it.
Just give me Photon. Just give me Photon, damn it. That's all I want.
We may very well get her. Okay,
the child or the adult?
Chavez, and let's see the bros bitch about that.
Oh, I cannot wait for America.
Why is Latina Miss America? Oh my God, guys, what the hell?
She had to be gay and also a girl and also alive.
Oh God.
But to answer your question about Miles, not yet for live action.
Hell no.
Yeah, no, not yet for live
action.
Way too soon.
Way too soon.
Yeah.
If they hadn't rebooted with Peter again, I would have said, yeah, bring in Miles.
Yeah.
They just started with Peter.
Yep.
No way.
I agree.
Sorry.
I agree entirely. Yep. Well, we'll see in a little bit once Spider-Man: Far From Home comes out, and then we start seeing the slate, and seeing exactly what rolls out and trailers and what have you, and we'll see whether it's actually catching our eye.
Question.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get Falcap?
Yes.
They can't deny us that. They promise us that.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna get Falcap in the Disney Plus series. Whether or not we see him in the movies, that remains to be seen.
But I will start a petition if we don't see that.
Start it now.
Yeah.
Come on, what? Oh, actually, we won't be doing that because I guess the rights to the Shield are owned by Para. Give me fucking Falcap. I'll kill you.
What I don't understand is they've announced all these series, but not one of them has been shot yet.
Loki.
What is supposed to happen next year?
I believe Loki is being shot as we speak. If I heard correctly.
But like Apple has all this shit coming out, and seems like they've shot a lot of their series, at least pilots for all of them.
Yeah, but they already announced that Mandalorian is premiering on Disney Plus on launch day, so they don't actually need the Marvel stuff because everybody's just going to be focusing on Star Wars.
And look, anybody can shoot a pilot in 2 or 3 days. That's the easy part.
Yeah, exactly.
2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Seriously, no, it doesn't need long to shoot a pilot.
Yeah, it's a
for a Marvel show though. It should be.
Well, yeah. I mean,
acting wise, no.
Acting wise, exactly. Yeah, acting wise,
it's all done post.
They just need people to be on set. That's it. Then after that, they just do all the CGI and shit, and then they're good to go.
You're going to get all these film actors to work at a TV pace. I feel like that's going to be a very difficult thing to do.
And that's why they're miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll over to DC.
Well, if you're shooting them as miniseries, more like films and television series, then it kind of kills your pilot idea.
Point.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Plot hole.
Hold on. You mentioned plot holes. It's actually a perfect segue over to DC Comics. Hey.
Our favorite publisher who never hurts us.
Yeah. So
are we going to talk about how Heroes in Crisis still didn't make sense at the end?
Hold on. Not just that. But how about the fact that Doomsday Clock has taken so long that DC's just like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll go forward with Legion of Superheroes and JSA and not give a shit what happens in Doomsday Clock.
Does anybody give a shit what happens in Doomsday Clock?
Doomsday Clock is good, though. That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years, though. 4 years.
Exactly. No, Donovan, I know it's good.
It's not been 4 years.
I know it's good.
It's been 4 years.
It has been 4 years since...
Rebirth was in 2016.
Hold on.
Yeah.
2019, dude.
But like you said, it's been 4 years since Doomsday Clock started?
No, since DC Rebirth. And they've been taunting us with Doomsday Clock and the Watchmen reveal for 4 years, which is a bit much. And,
I agree with that.
Yeah, and Doomsday Clock is now taken over 2 years to come out, I feel like.
Hey guys, remember when Pandora meant something?
No, I don't.
No.
3 Jokers. Ooh.
Yeah.
Jason Facebook is like, oh, look, artwork for 3 Jokers, and I'm like, what year is it?
Yeah, come on. But that's... I don't care if it's good, Donovan. I'm not reading it until all of it's out. Because I cannot remember anything that I read from, like, issue to issue at this point for how long it takes for these issues to come out. It's a scenario where they really should have waited before they started.
No, I agree.
They started.
Yeah, I talked about this on Comic Geek Speak, and I totally agree.
Yeah, and I'm still annoyed about it. So that's that's the way that rolls. But the fact that Heroes in Crisis 9 sucked ass, was terrible, was not happy at all.
Tom King's Batman, pretentious as all fuck.
Yeah, it's not nearly as good as it was when it started. What?
Hey guys, I'm not leaving Batman because I'm a shitty writer and the sales are dropping. I'm leaving Batman because I magically got a TV deal and a movie deal. And oh yeah, they're spitting my book out because I bitched and whined to do its own miniseries, which you're all gonna buy now.
Yeah.
This week's issue, it was so up its own ass. I mean,
I am so far behind.
Is full of crap, but like, come on, at least he was exciting.
I'm so far behind, and I will catch up eventually, and I will say whether I agree or disagree with that. I am still pre-wedding at this point, so I need to catch up. Yeah, no, I'm way behind, dude. Like, it's not even funny. I want to read it, I just haven't. And I know that opinion is split on his series, but I've also been hearing a lot more of that with its treading water of late. So
it's not like the worst ever, but like, I'm sorry, but the dick sucking of Tom King has to end. It's not that good.
I only know what I know, and what I know is Vision was great, and what I've read so far of the series was excellent. But I am 100% believing you that it goes off the rails.
Yeah, the part before the non-wedding was excellent.
Yeah.
And then he decided to not even left turn to advertise. Well, I don't know whose fault this is. DC's or his?
It was DC's.
For saying, let's have a wedding and then not have a wedding.
It was
DC's. Let's fucking advertise it as if it's going to happen.
It was DC's. Yeah, no, that's completely DC, dude.
Oh, yeah, Bob was on the show just absolutely furious.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah, no. Bob.
All of DC because of the shit they pulled.
Yeah, I can.
Fucking absurd.
I can still hear Bob yelling about it, to be honest. But, hey, Wally West, he's got a series.
By Scott Lobdell?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I know. With Brett Booth art.
What year is this?
Apparently it's the year that New 52 happened, because that's the last time that this team teamed for Teen Titans, and it wasn't good then.
What, 2012, right? Jeez. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. Oh.
I think it's because Red
get it off me.
Hood Outlaw is doing okay.
I don't know.
It's not Wally West.
Yeah.
Then look how good that book was. Oh, my God. That was such a great must-read book there.
Here's my problem with all of this. Like, how the hell does Bob Harris still have a job?
Blackmail.
Apparently. And
he's got some dirt in somebody.
He has friends, and he will continue to have friends, and Scott Lobdell is one of them, so clearly that's going to continue to be a thing. I just...
the
Bastards.
The Brett Booth on the Flash run after Manipul left, art-wise, not bad.
Okay.
The design of the blue Flash and shit was a little crazy, but I wasn't hating on it, and I felt like he captured the energy of the Flash pretty well.
Okay.
I don't remember who was writing that run. I don't know if it was Lobdell or someone else, but the art for Brett Booth's sake, not bad.
I much prefer the Evan Doc Shaner cover than to what we're probably going to get on the inside, but I
feel bad for the people who buy that book for the cover, like they're expecting what they're going to get. Minimalist Doc Shaner, and then open it up for hyperkinetic Brett Booth.
Yeah. I also believe you when you say that he drew a good Flash. So I will give that a shot. I will definitely see how it looks, but I'm not looking forward to this shit because of the way it ended out in Heroes in Crisis, which frankly was trash.
How could Superman and Batman put him in handcuffs? like first of all, he'd get out of that, but also it's like he's one of your boys. How could you do that to him? That'd be like putting Alfred in handcuffs. Like he's not going to do anything. Like what is you're not going to talk to him or get him counseling? You bastards!
Remember when Alfred lost a hand?
Oh, I forgot about that.
So Venditti was writing Flash at the time.
Yeah. Oh, okay, got it.
And Van Jensen.
Yeah, but no, I hear you, man. Like dragging anybody off in handcuffs. That's rough, man.
But like they understand that like this was an accident. He kind of like went nuts, and he's not with his full faculties.
It's an accident.
You're under arrest. It's like fuck off. Like they would never do. I don't care how bad you want to write Batman. He would never do that.
It's also never how his speed powers have worked before, which really pissed me off about the whole damn thing.
Why were Blue Beetle and Booster Gold in it?
Because
why was Batgirl and Harley Quinn in it?
Because.
Yeah, what the hell was Barbara Gordon is Harley Quinn's best friend? It's like that I've never read.
Which apparently, again, mandated by DC for these characters to show up in it.
Then don't write a fucking book, man.
I know.
Shut up.
Please. Tell me about it.
Oh, here was the other thing. Lagoon Boy, in the panel, clearly gets fucking torn in half by something.
Yep.
A shot, a fist, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Tom King in an interview later goes, "Oh, that was part of the simulation."
What?
Like, no, you fucking dude. Come on.
Then you know what?
You don't put it in the panel to begin with. You can't go back later and be like, "Oh, that was part of the simulation."
Yeah.
He was imagining himself getting killed.
Woo.
Like, go away. Because clearly, in that book, everyone dies, and then Lagoon Boy's like the last one to die. That's the whole point of that third issue or whatever that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you even read your own book, dude?
Nope.
Can I also fanboy bitch about how ridiculous all the Robin confessionals were? Like, that actually pissed me off.
Let's not just stop there. Let's talk about all the confessionals that took up all those wasted pages in that entire book.
My favorite
Catwoman
part.
goes to a counselor and says meow. End of therapy session.
Yeah. My favorite part of the books were the confessionals, and yet I still think that they shouldn't have been there.
No, I was pissed because like you have characters who've watched their parents die. Dick Grayson's been raped twice, and he's like, I don't know if I'm cool enough to be a Robin, you guys. You know, I was the first one. And I was like, fuck out of here with this nonsense.
No, well, he wasn't Dick Grayson. That was probably Rick Grayson.
God damn it.
Don't even start.
Don't do it. Don't do it, man.
That's still Lobdell, I think, on that book, right?
Yeah.
Well, Jurgens wrote the last part of it, and like it's a conclusion of this story, but he's still Rick Grayson by the end of it.
Great.
I pulled out my hair and threw myself out the window.
Give me Dick Grayson back. Just make me happy. Just give Dick Grayson back.
Hey, we got Tim back as Robin, okay? So that's we're at least one step.
Oh, are we greedy? We can't have what we want.
I'm happy
Wait
to
till
have
Tom King gets a hold of him.
No,
He'll take him out.
No, I'm happy to have Young Justice as a title. Okay, It's doing really well, and I've enjoyed the last couple of issues, which is why I'm looking forward to Bendis' take on Legion of Superheroes, because I think.
Two?
Yeah, man. He's writing Legion of
Action,
Superheroes.
Superman, YJ, and the Legion.
Yep.
No, I thought he was teasing that somebody else was going to do the Legion.
They
announced someone else is doing it.
Yeah, okay. He's doing no. It says the new ongoing series from Bendis and Sook. I think they're doing Millennium, and then somebody else is going to do Legion.
I think someone else is writing Legion.
Okay, all right, but he's at least setting it up.
Wait, is this before or after they aged Christopher?
This is after, I believe, because they're showing up in modern continuity to meet Superman first.
Right.
So I mean, we'll see how that goes, but
why do we age up Chris Kent?
Because
for the sex scenes, apparently.
I don't know. I don't understand
because
either.
Because we had Connor Kent Superboy also aged up.
Yeah, even though he's not even
why not
really
have two Superboys the same age.
He's not even really that aged up at this point, Connor. Like Connor's just Connor. Like he's
16 still? Was 17
He's like
now?
18, I guess.
Yeah, he's like 17 or 18 thereabouts.
Because in YJ he was like 18, 17, still in high school.
Yeah, something like that. And then the JSA is coming back.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They've been coming back since the beginning of Rebirth. They're still not coming back.
But they're back now in POG form.
No, they're not.
Justice League number 31.
I don't believe it.
Snyder, Tinian, and Jimenez. I guess we'll find out after that issue comes out.
One
cool
issue
for Snyder's JLA. I should read it.
I really need to, because it seems to be the only team book that's actually worth a damn outside of Young Justice. So I will have to give it a shot. But yeah, stuff's happening.
We're so mad right now at DC Comics again.
I'm sorry. It's hard not to. It really is.
It's hard not to.
I mean, they do some good stuff, DC. And then there's the other stuff.
What's the last time? What is it with the Portal? They always want to fuck over a character every few years.
I know.
All the time.
I know.
Like, how do you go from such highs as, like, Infinite Crisis to, like, that really, really good year afterwards, like 1 year later, and 52, and you're working on every cylinder, and then you just crash so hard for so long. Why and how?
Hey, Kyle Rayner's still not dead, right?
Yet.
Where?
That's all I need to know. Like, as long as he ain't dead out there somewhere, then I'm happy. But
don't jump into he'll put a bullet in his head real quick.
God damn it!
I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
Because I referenced it earlier, and I heard someone say this, that, like, you have a lot of Marvel guys at DC right now. You have Jim Lee there for, like, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Harris, Scott Lobdell.
Yep.
These guys. There has been a sentiment I've seen that these Marvel creators do not really get the fundamental foundations of the DC universe, which is why, like, Jim Lee's favorite character is, like, Batman, because Batman, is, like, similar to Marvel characters, but, like, he draws, like, characters like Superman and Wonder Woman and the Flash, all hard-edged and stuff. And you have a lot of these dark stories, you have all of these kind of, like, character assassinations. Do you think it's kind of this fanboy scuttlebutt, or do you think there's something to that?
Fanboy scuttlebutt, and there's something to it. No joke. Like, it's overblown to the fanboys, like, I want things the way that I loved it when I was a kid, because we've been bitching about that for the last, like, frickin', like, part of this, and yeah, but at the same time, there's been some advancement that's actually been really positive, and I think that Bendis is actually doing a really good job over at the Superman stuff, and he was Marvel for frickin' forever, so I think that's. Maybe it's because it's a different class of Marvel creator or what have you. It's just, I think that, I don't know, it's not quite as bad as some would make you think, but it's also still could be better, and I'd still like to see somebody other than Bob Harris, and maybe even DiDio at this point. I think it might just be time for a little bit of a turnover.
I've never caught DiDio. His entire era. Like, no, granted, the stories I liked, but, like, his whole edict, to me, is just, like, even since I was a teenager, I was like, this guy doesn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of good stuff happen under his run. Identity Crisis was a thing. Like Infinite Crisis, all those other crises.
But then he does shit like, the Cassandra Cain mandate and trying to kill Dick Grayson every 5 minutes. And, like, Cry for Justice was under his watch. Like, that's the thing. It's just, like, fucking atrocities. I mean, say what you will about the 90s. We never had, like red alerts like the 2000s back in that day.
I compared Heroes in Crisis to Cry for Justice, and I will continue to compare it because that is how I feel. That is how bad of a character assassination it is, even when the character that was assassinated in Crisis, Heroes in Crisis, had the character assassination in the other thing.
I think he's literally trying to erase the 90s from DC.
I think he did. I think that, like, recently they've been trying to bring it back with, like, Kyle and Tim and stuff.
But the dream of the 90s is alive at DC.
I'm not. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Jeff Johns either. But Jeff Johns said that, like, the New 52, he didn't cotton to that idea either. That wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
And because he's actually he might be like a Barry fan, but he is a fan of continuity.
Right. But clearly Jeff Johns' influence is lessening and has been lessening, and that's why they're going forward with this stuff before Doomsday Clock is even over.
Yeah, which sucks because I think Jeff Johns honestly, if Jeff Johns wasn't being pulled in 4 different directions at any given time,
yes,
he should be the figurehead of DC.
I agree.
Should be the one running the show.
It's so weird to me that like he was complaining that he was ignored when he said that Man of Steel was too dark, and like he thought the DCEU should be brighter and more hopeful, and then he turns around and executive produced Titans. I don't understand that.
But he also helped the Captain Marvel movie happen. Sorry, Shazam, and it worked really well based on his own stories. So
and look, also you can be an executive producer and have zero input in the story also as well.
Oh yeah, totally.
But he's a big Titans fan. Again,
yeah,
he sit back and watched it happen.
Stand off, man. He's working on Stargirl. That's his thing.
And also, don't forget, he was also producer on Green Lantern too, and look what happened there.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, he ran the moment those box office started saying he ran from that. I remember that happening in 2011. That was funny.
Oh boy. All right, gentlemen. Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap this baby up?
Oh, let's just put gasoline on this fire here and call it a day.
It's fun.
Wah, wah. I feel like ending on something positive. Let me just bring up again how awesome Young Justice is. It's a damn good comic.
And the anime series comes back next month.
Yes,
July.
yes, it does, and I look forward to that. And yeah, that's about as positive as I can get. Okay, cool. Oh, and Spider-Man Life Story is fucking awesome, and everybody needs to read it.
Oh, dude.
Oh my god.
Hell yeah.
So good.
Every issue's been fire.
Ugh.
I gotta get on that one then.
Oh man, no, seriously, man. Brandon, when it comes out in trade, buy that shit immediately. It is amazing.
All right.
Is next issue the last issue?
I believe the last issue is set in the 2010s, so that would be issue 7, I think.
So he'd be like 60.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's either 6 or 7. I'm not entirely sure. But Brandon, if you're unfamiliar with the premise, it's Spider-Man aging in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aging in real time. So every issue is another 10 years forward. Yeah.
Yep. And Chip Zdarsky's writing it, and it's Mark Bagley on art, and it could not be better if it tried.
Bagley? What?
Bagley. Yep.
Bagley kicking ass.
Yeah.
World's greatest Spider-Man artist.
Yeah, seriously. He is bringing such a unique take to each era, too. Like, just with subtle art tweaks that just fit beautifully with the story that's being told.
I just love like the reintroduction of like the decade stories.
Yes.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah, they pretty much everything that you would expect, Brandon, from that decade. I'm not spoiling anything. You will find in that decade with new and interesting takes.
Are these oversized issues or are these standard 22?
I think
they're like 36.
Yeah, something like that.
They don't feel standard, but they don't feel too long either.
Yeah, but it's amazing and it's easy.
Unlike Batman Last Night on Earth, which was like 60 fucking pages and $10 or some shit. And then they're like, it's one of 3 issues, and then you're reading it and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
I actually kind of dug that, but like I agree that it's a little much. Did you guys read Miller's Superman Year One?
No,
I didn't read that yet.
I didn't read it. I didn't read it yet because I'm such a fan of Frank Miller that I can't wait to read it.
You know what? Honestly, it's mostly not that bad, but there is a scene that is pissing people off because it's so Frank Miller and necessary.
Is it racist or Islamophobic?
It's misogynist.
Oh wow! His other trope. Okay, great.
Bring out an old favorite.
If there's one thing that I love about Frank Miller is that he loves Superman and thinks that it's his favorite character. So clearly he's going to do a great job with his origin.
Well,
all right.
Honest to God, like it's overall pretty decent. Like I actually was impressed by like how
fair.
Nice it was.
Fair.
It's just there's one unnecessary scene that if you took it out, it totally would be fine.
Well, clearly it needs more editorial input to stop that shit from happening. But
because Birthright wasn't a good story as it was already.
Yeah, I know.
I should read Birthright. I've not read that.
It's freaking fantastic, and I don't get why we have to redo year 1s, year 0s, and year 2s all over again. And I get it. You want to explore different aspects of the character, but we don't always need a year 1 or year 0.
No one literally did that.
Yeah.
Jeff Johns didn't explore anything new. He rehashed everything old in Secret Origin.
Yep, it's true. Birthright was Wade, right?
Yes.
Mark Wade, yeah.
Yes.
Wade and Lionel Francis Yu.
Ooh,
And that was a good take on. It was actually a unique take on the story, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why can't we just let that be?
Well, if it's according to Dr. Manhattan, he made that happen. So that's, and you'll check out more of that in Doomsday Clock.
It's okay. We'll always have Smallville.
Oh, somebody saved me from this conversation. We're done at this point, gentlemen. Donovan, where can they find you on the internets?
Yeah, questionsnoanswers.com. We just actually released an episode talking about endings. It's a two-parter. I'll release part 2 the next day or so. Because of the Game of Thrones controversy, we had fun talking about like good endings, bad endings. We spoil every show we mentioned, from like Breaking Bad and The Wire to like Dragon Ball Z and Cowboy Bebop to like Craziest Girlfriend. It's a lot of fun. Check us out at questionsnoanswers.com. You can also find me on Twitter, DonoDMG1, and I do content for the BatmanUniverse.net. Thank you for having me.
Sliders ended on a cliffhanger. That was bullshit. And always a pleasure, Donovan. You know that. All right. Brandon, where can they find you?
Anywhere on the internet at the Dabadon, TheDabadon podcast on iTunes. We just actually released an episode last week.
Yay!
We did our endgame analysis and recap. Talked about a couple other things also. All my co-hosts at Adas Baron, ADASBARON, on the Twitters and also on the Grams.
Most excellent. And Casina.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Here.
Where?
The one podcast I am loyal to. Comic Timing.
Trade Jim.
You motherfucker.
Just push that dagger a little deeper.
Don't you have like a YouTube channel and shit?
I do, but I am not two-timing a podcast.
Oh
that I'm
my
loyal to.
god.
That's a totally different medium. Run solely by myself. You might call it a side project or a solo act, but my group project is Comic Timing.
As is mine, and it always will be, even as I am on other shows. Period.
You're like, oh shit.
I am human.
Trying to think of some musical relation of to keep switching bands.
You're like the Salon Knowles of the Comic Timing.
Beating up Jay-Z in an elevator.
Jesus.
You're like the guy from Guns N' Roses joining AC/DC.
Okay. All right. That's not bad. That's not bad. But yeah, they can find you on YouTube at BK's Bullets.
Yes.
Most
Thank you.
definitely. What's your latest vids about?
We'll have one up by this weekend on Gail Simone's Clean Room, Volume 1.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. I'm actually curious about that.
I picked it up on Comixology Unlimited, but apparently as soon as it went on the service for 3 volumes, which is all there is, it quickly came off the service, all 3 volumes.
Wow.
But the great thing about Comixology Unlimited, if you just click borrow when you see something you like, even if you haven't downloaded it and it leaves the service, you're still able to download it because technically you have not checked that book back into the library.
Nice.
So like for example, like Hickman's Manhattan Projects, which was a wackadoodle fucking book that I can't believe I finished.
Yep. They
had Omnibus 1 and Omnibus 2 on there like a long time ago, and it's been in my checked out books, and then didn't have downloaded them, and then they took it off the service. Like you can't read those for free anymore, or not free, but you're paying. But they're not part of it. But I still downloaded them and read them, and then I was like, ugh, it's crazy.
Well, that's like I've been claiming all my Telltale codes off of Humble Bundles lately in Steam just to make sure that I have as many Telltale games as possible before they're pulled from the service.
Yeah, I need to go and download all the Guardians game I haven't played, and Wolf Among Us, and there's one other one.
I just got season 3 of Walking Dead on Epic Games just so I have it, because I know it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon from Epic Games, but it's been pulled off of other services. So
I was gonna say I don't think you should worry about Walking Dead.
Yeah,
it's everything else.
It's been pulled from a bunch of places though, so that's
Skybound is offering some collector's edition with all 3 seasons of that game.
Oh, nice.
So I'm kind of wondering if Skybound not only got the rights for Walking Dead season 3, but the entire series to publish it again. I don't know.
And it's a possibility. Anywho, you can find me over at I am sci-fi with underscores in there on Twitter. And you can find other inane ramblings of mine on the Comic Geek Speak podcast over at comicgeekspeak.com. Been helping out with them for a while now. We will have up, for those of you who listen to previous versions of my American Comics for Manga Fans panel, I'm going to be putting that up on their feed. Since we already had one on this feed, I figured I'd share the wealth on theirs as well. So I did that over at Anime Next about 2 weeks back, and that'll be up there soon. So you can check that out at comicgeekspeak.com. And that's just about it. Gentlemen, thank you for the marathon. It's always a pleasure.
Always. It's always pleasurable being in the same boat with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it takes.
We're on a boat. We're on a boat, motherfucker. Don't you ever forget. I might be.
They were here tonight. They're playing in Philadelphia.
I may be seeing them Saturday, actually. Yeah, they're gonna
if
be.
Comic Geek Speak gets on my boat, I'm throwing you off for Peter Rios only.
Jorge Perez. The email address.
Redeemer.
Switzerland, it doesn't matter.
Thank you. Put a quarter in a jar. The email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. Check us out over at facebook.com/comictiming. And we're proud members of the Comics Podcast Network over at comicspodcast.com. And the League of Comic Book Podcasts over at comicbooknoise.com/league. And that is that for us. So, for Cassina, for Christopher, and for Morgan Grant, I'm Ian Nevesty, reminding everybody out there there's always time for comics. Whatever it takes, I know I can make it through.
Shout out to Ralph for probably contributing to the billions of dollars. Hasn't he seen Endgame half a dozen times?
Yeah, he's actually one of the reasons why they're bringing it back to theaters, because he needs to see it about 4 more times.
That one guy, I swear to God, in New York, who'd have thought that demographic would kick ass?
Oh, hey, guys. Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, I'm Raph. Oh, hey, I'm back at the theater.
It's hilarious. The hour movie just that didn't even dent its box office potential.
I did the math the other day before they announced this re-release.
Yeah.
So at an average of $15 a ticket, which I know is lower than some places.
Yeah.
To get it to beat Avatar, which was $46 million, it would take Raph 2.8 million times at $15 a ticket to put it over the top. And that's watching Endgame at 3 hours in a showing, 24 hours a day, so nonstop.
Yeah.
You watch it 8 times a day for the next 350,000 days. That's only 958 years.
And boy, are his arms tired.
He'd have to clone himself and get super speed.
He'll find a way.
Actually, it's super convenient. Barely inconvenience.
Yeah, right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is back matter for the episode.